the young and the restless spoilers. Heather and Daniel had never felt such anxiety claw at their hearts. For weeks now, the safety and well-being of their daughter, Lucy, had been slipping from their grasp. The once carefree girl they knew had grown distant, her emotions clouded with rebellion and defiance. What had started as small disagreements had turned into full-blown fights, fueled by Lucy's intense bond with her best friend, Faith Newman. Daniel had tried reasoning with his daughter, but every conversation ended with tears or shouting. Faith had become an anchor in Lucy's life, and Lucy was not willing to let go of that connection. Faith, too, had her demons. She was deeply shaken by her mother, Sharon's, increasingly erratic behavior. Sharon's untreated mental illness was casting a long, dark shadow over her family, leaving Faith feeling frightened and vulnerable. In Lucy's eyes, Faith needed her more than ever, and no force on earth, not even her own parents, would separate them. Heather, torn between her instincts to protect her daughter and the growing fear that something tragic might happen if they stayed, finally made the hard decision. Together with Daniel, they would send Lucy to Portugal, back to the safety and familiarity of Heather's family home. There, Lucy could escape the chaos of Genoa City, where things had spiraled too far out of control. But the decision came with a complication that neither Daniel nor Heather had anticipated. Lucy refused to leave without Faith. "I can't abandon her," Lucy pleaded, her voice trembling. "She needs me. I can't just walk away and leave her here with Sharon. It's not safe. You don't understand." Daniel rubbed his temples in frustration, wanting to scream at the unfairness of it all. He understood perfectly well how bad things had gotten with Sharon, he had witnessed it firsthand. Sharon's condition had been unstable for months, her paranoia growing, and her mental health deteriorating. What once had been a slow decline was now a full-blown crisis. Faith, still a child herself, was caught in the crossfire. Heather and Daniel had already made up their minds. Their tickets to Lisbon were booked, and the plan was clear. Lucy, and now Faith, would board a flight to Portugal, leaving the turmoil of Genoa City behind. The girls were underage, yes, but Heather had family in Portugal who could keep an eye on them from a distance. It wasn't a perfect solution, but it was the best option they had. Once safely settled in Lisbon, they would deal with the aftermath. What troubled Heather the most was the danger in sending two teenage girls to live in a foreign city without the direct supervision of their parents. They would be alone, away from the familiar comforts of home, forced to navigate a new culture and environment. Were they really equipped to handle the responsibility of living in a city like Lisbon on their own? Would the distance truly shield them from the chaos back home, or would it only create new challenges? Yet, there was no time for more deliberation. The flight was arranged, and before long, they were en route to the airport. Daniel's heart was heavy as he watched Lucy and Faith in the rearview mirror. They were whispering quietly to each other, as though they had formed an unbreakable pact. It was the kind of loyalty that both scared and reassured him. He admired his daughter's devotion, but it also meant that she was willing to go to extreme lengths to protect her friend. For Faith, the idea of leaving Genoa City was a bittersweet escape. She loved her mother deeply but was terrified of her. Sharon's latest breakdown had been one of the worst yet, and Faith had witnessed things that no daughter should ever see. Her mother's unpredictable outbursts had created an environment of fear. Faith felt guilty for leaving Sharon behind, but the fear was stronger. She needed distance, and Lucy offered her that lifeline. As the plane took off, the girls held hands, staring out the window as Genoa City shrank beneath them. A mixture of relief and uncertainty filled the air between them. Their new life in Portugal was beginning, and with it, the questions of how they would survive without their parents close by. Could they truly build a life of independence, away from everything they had known? Could they escape the shadows of their pasts? Back in Genoa City, the news of Faith's sudden departure hit Sharon like a tidal wave. When she discovered that Daniel and Heather had taken Faith without warning, something inside her snapped. Her mind, already fragile, spiraled into a frenzy of rage and despair. She could not believe that they had taken her daughter, her sweet, innocent Faith, without her permission. The thought that Faith was now thousands of miles away, in a foreign country, filled Sharon with an uncontrollable fury. Heather was to blame for this, Sharon was certain of it.